more than we fear Allah. And these are internal aspects of worship. We have the external aspects and we have the internal aspects. And also, when we attribute the right to make halal and haram to human beings, meaning that where Allah has said this thing is halal, then people come along and say, no, it is haram. And we accept that. In this regard, we also have worshipped other than Allah. There's an element of worship here. And of course, some people may say, how, where? Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he quoted a verse from the Quran on one occasion, describing the Christians and the Jews, saying, اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله. They have taken their rabbis and monks as lords besides Allah. This is Surah Tawbah, verse 31. When he said that, Adi ibn Hatim, one of his companions, who was a convert from Christianity, he said, O Messenger of Allah, we didn't used to worship them. We didn't take them as lords. Prophet ﷺ said, didn't they make halal what Allah made haram, and make haram what Allah made halal, and you followed them? He said, yeah, that's true. He said, that was your worship of them. So, worship may involve also allowing people to make haram and halal for us what goes against the clear instructions from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sometimes, of course, it doesn't mean each and every instance this may be classified that way, because it may be in ignorance. For example, you have commonly some people following a particular school of thought, they jump up and say, eating shrimps is haram, and crabs, and lobsters. We can't eat these things. We say, what is your evidence? Did Rasulullah ﷺ forbid them? Did the Quran forbid them? No, there's no but. If we don't have the evidence, then we don't have the right to prohibit them. Because all foods are halal for us except those which have been specifically prohibited. This is the principle which governs food, drink, clothing, our dealings, worldly dealings, needs, etc. All are halal except those things which are specifically prohibited. Whereas ibadat, things which have to do with worship, which are specifically designed for worship, all forms of worship are prohibited except those which have been specifically made permissible by Rasulullah ﷺ. That's the opposite, to protect it from innovation. So when we come to those kind of issues where people are coming around and saying this is haram, this is halal, so and so, if it goes against what we know from the Quran, from the Sunnah of Rasulullah ﷺ, we must ask them for evidence. No matter how great a Maulana or Sheikh or so and so may be, if they're saying this is haram, we must ask them for the evidence. What is the proof? If they can't bring us proof, they're just telling us, well, in my opinion, and in so and so's opinion, and this one's opinion, and that one's opinion, we say, thank you, but no thank you. That basically covers our introduction to Aqidah, Usul al-Aqidah. Now, we'll take some questions for about 10 minutes. It's short. We're leaving additional questions to the last session in the evening, where we have gone over our allotted time. Normally the sessions we try to keep it within an hour, though some of them are longer than others. Okay, we'll take the first question. If the Quran speaks against sects forming different groups, etc., in the community, why do Muslims do this? Well, the Quran prohibits drinking alcohol. Why do Muslims drink alcohol? Quran prohibits so many things, but Muslims are doing them. It's just a part of the whole system that though Islam may prescribe one thing, human beings have a choice of either following what Allah has prescribed or not. So where they choose not to, then they disobey. This is error. Sometimes it's a matter of ignorance. They don't know it. That's what they've grown up with. This is what everybody was doing in their area. That's what they were practicing. That's how they understood Islam. See, sometimes it's innocent. Sometimes it has to do with their own choice. And of course Allah will judge them according to whether it was a deliberate choice where they understood and knew better but they went and did it, or whether it was something out of ignorance they didn't have any opportunity to understand otherwise and they made that mistake as a result of it. Go ahead.
I know some people who go to gatherings where they keep food around and they start to chant and they give salam to the Prophet. Does that count as shirk as well?
Our brother's question concerning gatherings where people prepare certain foods and they gather around it and they make certain chants, they make certain du'as or whatever, and then they distribute this food in different ways and they call it niyaz or something like this, right? Is that shirk? Well, I wouldn't necessarily say it's shirk, depending on what people believe in it, because you have some people who believe that when they do that, the Prophet ﷺ becomes present in their gatherings. Yeah. If this is what you believe, then there's some aspect of shirk happening here. But if it is just that you feel that Allah's blessings will be on this, and when you give this food you get reward from it, so in other words you feel this is a righteous deed, then we say this is bid'ah, innovation in the religion, because Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did not do it. Question from sisters? I'm going to take one.
My question is as far as the Shia, would they be considered following shirk or they practice bid'ah? That's what I would confused.
Well, our sister's question in terms of the Shia, do we consider them as being involved in shirk or are they practicing bid'ah? I would say both. They're practicing bid'ah and they're following practices of shirk. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they become non-Muslims, because we have in the body of quote-unquote Sunni Muslims those who are doing the same. Those who are going to the graves of the saints. Ajmer in India, for example, a great gathering place of thousands, 100,000 Muslims go there and pray to the dead person in the grave there. Okay? And they call themselves Sunni Muslims. Well, they're involved here in aspects of shirk as well as bid'ah. So these acts, of course, though forbidden in Islam, etc., it doesn't necessarily mean that it makes a person a non-Muslim. Only if that person has understood what is wrong in what they're practicing, what is correct has been made clear to them, and they reject that, at that point they become, in fact, disbelievers. And that is left to Allah. Because we don't need to make this judgment. Because again, some people might say, well, I went to this person who was going to the grave and I told him and I brought the evidence to him and he still went. Well, it may be that the way you brought the evidence, he wasn't able to understand. Maybe the language you used. Maybe your explanation was weak. A variety of different things. Allah knows whether that person actually grasped it and decided otherwise. So that ruling of disbelief, that is left to Allah. It's not on us now to go and tell Muslims, you are a kafir, you Muslim, you are a kafir. No. We can say, yes, you're involved in some aspects of shirk here. Beware, so and so. We advise them, so and so. These are actions of kufr, so and so. But to say, you are a kafir, we don't have that right. Allah, that judgment is left to Allah. Unless the person openly tells you, I am a kafir. I don't believe. I reject that which is clear and obvious from the religion.
Just a clarification, when you say that raising hands after the prayer, that's raising hands in Jama'at. Imam raises his hand and everybody follows that. But individual raising hand is a different.
Okay, brother's question. The raising of the hands in dua after every prayer.